So I did the crankcase because once you make a part that's derived on another part, the assembly will no longer move, even if you delete the uh, constraints locking it in place. So I can now delete that constraint I said before, and let's place the crankcase back in. I'm now going to ground this as my piece because he's really the part that doesn't move. I can unground the piston. And now the trick here is not grounding, not locking too much. I know for a fact that this rod gets mated to this axis. Oh. Let's try that again. I'm going to mate this axis to the axis of this. I'm going to apply. Now this can move in and out, but that's now going to be taken care of by locking the pistons in place. So I know this piston here gets mated to the cylinder that goes to apply. Now at this point, I should be able to spin the crankshaft and the piston should go up and down, which they do. So we are on our way to having a functioning engine. Now if I look at the top of the engine while I do that, they come near the top and they come back down. Later we'll make this car complete with valves and all sorts of stuff, but right now that's pretty darn good. Our last step before we can print this version of the engine is to add the lower crankcase and the bolts to hold it together, because we're going to screw the bottom and top together. We'll drop this in and then screw it all together, and that should lock our pieces together. So I'm going to take and we're going to create a new piece. I'm going to create this also in place. It's going to be called lower crankcase. And I'm going to start that on the, nope. I'm going to start that on the out of here. So let's try that again. Lower crankcase. Starting on the outside face here. And I'm going to pause this for a moment. It should, sorry for that small interruption, but that should sound like that much for you guys. If it sounds weird, I apologize. I'll fix it after this video if need be. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating my lower crankcase, and I'm going to start my first sketch on the outside surface of this thing. Nope. Undo. I want to start the sketch on let's undo, start a sketch, and we're going to start a sketch on this plane right here. I'm going to project the geometry of this surface, and this surface, and this surface, because then we can use that as our starting point. I'm now going to take and come up this way a little bit, and then we're going to come this way, then back this way. Oh. And then this one. I know this is, nope. There we go. I'm going to draw a center line with construction, so I can use the symmetric constraint to get all these things even. So this and this are symmetric about this. Oh. That's weird. All right, so let's dimension stuff. I want this dimension here to be 25 degrees. And now I can try symmetric again. So I'm going to say this and this are symmetric about this. This and this are symmetric. These two are equal. Okay. And this dimension here we're going to dimension from here to here. And we're going to dimension this from here to here to be the same value. And then we're going to dimension for this wall here to be 0.25. That looks good. And now I also need to draw the circle. And this circle should be non-construction. So now I'm going to extrude this thing 0.1, 0.2 going this way. I want to make sure it's lined up with the other one. Let's try 0.15. There we go. I'm going to mirror this feature about the okay, I'm going to create a work plane from here to create a work plane on this back surface, and then make a mid plane between these two guys. Okay, it's not going to let me do a mid plane. We'll just draw it manually. So I'm going to start a sketch over here. I'll project geometry. Extrude this going in 0.15. And then we're going to start a sketch on this surface. F7. I'm going to project geometry. I'm going to project this shape. And we're going to, I'm going to project this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge. And we're going to offset. And I'm going to just make sure this point touches that point. Try it again. This corner is coincident with this corner. And then we're going to extrude finish sketch, extrude. Oh, when you go into sketch, and we add two little lines. Let's add the line from here to here. And same thing over here. And make sure that actually closes the geometry. Finish sketch, extrude this face to next. And there we go. We have our bottom. So if we return to this shape, we now have a full engine. Now, the last thing we need to do is figure out how we're going to hook these together. And what I think we're going to use is a screw coming in through the top of here and going into here. So we need to add some features to this. I'm thinking we're going to screw from the bottom going in. So we're going to start a sketch. We're going to go back into the bottom. I'm going to start a sketch on make a new work plane that goes from this point here. Nope. Try again. From this edge over to this edge. 0 degrees. 90 degrees. There we go. I'm now going to start a sketch on this surface here. And I'm going to finish sketch. Let's jump back out and place a couple of screws in here. So we're going to go to place from component center, from content center. And we're going to add some 3mm screws. So I'm going to go metric, socket. And I'm going to go M3 by 12. That should be just over a half inch, or just under a half inch. and let's assemble these in place. I know that conceptually, this head here is going to be mated to this plane here. And then this is going to go somewhere in here. And we're going to get this guy sort of lined up where we want it. So I'm going to constrain this plane here, and I'm going to use the screw I've already started with. Nope. That's one. And we're going to mate his origin to -0.5. Let's see if we can find him again. So let's try this again. Let's move him in first. So constrain. I'm going to mate this surface here to this screws there. And we're going to submerge it 0.1. Oh, we can get his. Point 0.1. And that looks good. He's sort of submerged. He has the screw head doesn't stick out past the edge of the thing much. That looks good. So let's go back into. Let's go into here. Oh, let's actually take one more thing. Actually, we can go right into this part and we can adjust and we'll work off each other. So I'm going to jump into this part. We're going to go into the sketch we'd started. F7. I'm going to project the geometry of the screw. Finish sketch. Let's return. I'm going to hit measure, M, and this diameter is 2.17. That's really what I need to know. So let's jump to the bottom of this guy again. F7, and I'm going to draw some circles. And the circle's going to be 2.17 plus 0.01. 0.217 plus 0.01. That looks better. And I'm going to center this along this axis here. So I'm going to dimension from here, project geometry. And we'll just dimension it manually. I know these walls are about 0.26, so 0.1. And let's measure from here to here is 0.75. And let's draw 4 more circles. We're going to make them all equal to the first one. I'm going to vertical them. Horizontal and vertical are relative to the direction you're looking, so you have to be careful and look at the line. Let's see if those move. Oh, that's fine. We're in dimension from here to here to be the same number as this is. And we're dimension from here to here to be this number. So it gives our 4 screw holes. I can now extrude. And we're going to go upwards because this is the screw head. And we're going to cut all of it. Now we still need the screw bottom, so I'm going to start a sketch on the surface thing. Finish sketch. Nope, we can actually go into that sketch. F7. Project geometry first. And we're going to draw circles concentric with those. And I missed this one, so I'm going to use a connected point. And we're going to set this dimension, they're all going to be equal to each other. And we're going to dimension this thing to be 3 mm plus 0.01. Distance all. Okay. If I return back here, I'm going to turn off the work planes so I don't see them because they're ugly. Visibility. Visibility. Same up here. Let's turn off. Now this guy, we can now constrain and just make the axis of this to the axis of, nope. And that's all 3 of these. And I can use insert. The bottom of the screw to that spot there. So there is our crankshaft. The last step is going to be making the spots for the screws, the nuts, and we're going to use a captive square nut for this. And we'll do that in the next video.